The first human-made objects to reach the surface of the Moon was the Soviet Union's Luna 2 mission on September 13, 1959. The United States Apollo 11 was the first manned mission to land on the Moon on July 20, 1969. There have been 6 manned U.S. landings between 1969 and 1972 and numerous unmanned landings, with no soft landings happening from August 22, 1976 until December 14, 2013. To date, the United States is the only country to have successfully conducted manned missions to the Moon, with the last departing the lunar surface in December 1972. After the successful attempt by the Luna 1 to land on the Moon in 1959, the Soviet Union performed the first hard, unpowered moon landing that same year with the Luna 2 spacecraft, a feat the U.S. duplicated in 1962 with the Ranger 4. Since then, 12 Soviet Union and U.S. spacecraft have used braking rockets to make soft landings and perform scientific operations on the lunar surface between 1966 and 1976. In 1966, the USSR accomplished the first soft landings and took the first pictures from the lunar surface during the Luna 9 and Luna 13 missions. The US followed with the 5 unmanned Surveyor soft landings. The Soviet Union achieved the first unmanned lunar soil sample return with the Luna 16 probe on September 24, 1970. This was followed by Luna 20 and Luna 24 in 1972 and 1976. Many missions were failures at launch. In addition, several unmanned landing missions achieved the lunar surface but were unsuccessful. More recently, other nations have crashed spacecraft into the surface of the Moon at speeds around 8,000 kilometers per hour, often at precise planned locations. These have generally been end-of-life lunar orbiters that, because of system degradations, could no longer overcome perturbations from the lunar mass concentrations to maintain their orbit. Japan's lunar orbiter Haiten impacted the Moon's surface on April 10, 1993. The European Space Agency performed a controlled crash impact with their orbiter Smart 1 on September 3, 2006. Indian Space Research Organization performed a controlled crash impact with its Moon Impact probe on November 14, 2008. The MIP is an ejected probe from the Indian Chandrayaan 1 lunar orbiter and performed remote sensing experiments during its descent to the lunar surface. The Chinese lunar orbiter Chang'e executed a controlled crash onto the surface of the Moon on March 1, 2009. The rover mission Chang'e 3 was launched on December 1, 2013 and soft-landed on December 14. A total of 12 men have landed on the Moon. This was accomplished by the 2 U.S. pilot astronauts flying a lunar module on each of 6 NASA missions across a 41-month time span starting July 20, 1969 with Neil Armstrong and Buzz Aldrin on Apollo 11 and ending on December 14, 1972 with Gene Cernan and Jack Schmitt on Apollo 17. Cernan was the last to step on the lunar surface. All Apollo lunar missions had a third crew member who remained on board the command module. The last 3 missions had a rover for increased mobility. In order to go to the Moon, a spacecraft must first leave the gravity well of the Earth. The only practical way of accomplishing this currently is with a rocket. Unlike other airborne vehicles such as balloons or jets, a rocket is the only known form of propulsion which can continue to increase its speed at high altitudes in the vacuum outside of Earth's atmosphere. Upon approach of the target Moon, a spacecraft will be drawn even closer to its surface at increasing speeds due to gravity. In order to land intact, it must decelerate to about less than 99 miles per hour and ruggedized to withstand a hard landing impact, or it must decelerate to a negligible speed at a contact for a soft landing. The first 3 attempts by the U.S. to perform a successful hard moon landing with a ruggedized seismometer package in 1962 all failed The Soviets first achieved the milestone of our lunar hard landing with a ruggedized camera in 1966, followed only months later by the first unmanned soft lunar landing by the US. The speed of a crash landing on its surface is typically between 70 and 100% of the escape velocity of the target moon, and thus this is the total velocity which must be shed from the target moon's gravitational attraction for a soft landing to occur. For Earth's moon, the escape velocity is about 1.48 miles per second. The change in velocity is usually provided by a rocket landing, which must be carried into space by the original launch vehicle as part of the overall spacecraft.